Your breath fogs the scope, and you can't wipe it clear. One flinch here gets you shot before the sound of it reaches you. You are 18, a Soviet sniper dug into Stalingrad's grain elevator, October 1942. Tonight decides whether the man who trained you saved you. You crossed the Volga 2 nights ago on a barge packed with 300 men while German artillery walked shells across the water. Spray hit your collar. Half the men on that barge are gone now. You are not command handed you a rifle with a scope bolted to the top and told you to find Sergeant Koledov. He's waiting in a gutted room on the 3rd floor of the grain elevator. A building shot through with so many holes that daylight leaks in like 100 windows. Nobody built on purpose. Grain dust still hangs in the air from the fires that gutted it weeks ago, and it catches every shaft of light like fog. Koledov doesn't look up when you arrive. He's watching the street below through a crack in the wall. It takes you a full minute to understand that watching is the entire job tonight. He gives you 3 rules before he says anything else. Move only when you have to. Never fire from the same hole twice. And assume the man across the street is better at this than you are, because he might already be looking for you. You ask him how many men he's trained who are still alive. He doesn't answer that one. You spend the next hours learning to disappear. Koledov shows you how to wrap the barrel in cloth so it doesn't catch light, how to breathe out halfway and hold it before you touch the trigger, how 6 inches of movement in the wrong shadow is the difference between a kill and a body bag. Below you, Soviet and German infantry are fighting for a building that has already burned twice. Midway through the lesson, Koledov freezes mid-sentence. A sound on the stairwell below. Boots moving slow, testing each step for a creak. Not Soviet boots. He knows the difference by the spacing alone. He signals you flat against the wall, out of the light. A scout. A single German soldier, probably sent ahead of a larger push to map who's holding this floor. If he sees you, the position is marked before the sun even sets. And every man who reinforces this building tonight walks into a trap instead of a defense. You don't breathe. The boots stop 1 floor down. A long pause, long enough that you start counting your own heartbeat to keep from moving. Then the boots retreat, slower than they came. Koledov doesn't relax right away. He tells you the ones who leave quiet are the ones who already found what they needed. That's the lesson, not the relief of him leaving. An hour later, a runner brings word from the floor below. A machine gun crew, 2 rooms over, took a direct hit from a mortar round. 2 wounded, one of them screaming for a medic that isn't coming anytime soon. You start to move toward the sound. Koledov's hand closes on your shoulder before you take a second step. He doesn't raise his voice. He tells you your job isn't the wounded, it's the window. If you leave your sector to help a man who might already be past saving, you hand this whole floor to whoever's watching for exactly that mistake. It's the first time you understand that his 3 rules aren't caution. They're the only thing standing between staying alive and getting the men around you killed too. You stay at the window. The screaming stops on its own, eventually. You don't ask how. Koledov drills you on one more thing before the light starts to fail. The counter-snipers. German shooters trained specifically to hunt Soviet marksmen, not infantry. Not the line, just you and men like you. He tells you they think in patterns. A shooter who fires from the same window twice, who moves at the same hour twice, becomes predictable, and predictable is the same as dead. The rule about never using the same hole twice isn't paranoia. It's the only defense that exists against a man whose entire job is learning your habits. He shows you a trick he learned from a shooter who didn't survive to teach it to anyone else. Propping a helmet on a stick above the sandbags to draw a shot so you can count the muzzle flash and mark where it came from without exposing your own head to find out. You try it once. Nothing ants. Either no one's watching this stretch of street yet, or someone is, and they're patient enough not to take the bait. The cold starts to matter more as the light drops. Your fingers stiffen around the rifle. Koledov tells you to keep one hand tucked against your body between shots. A stiff trigger finger is as dangerous here as a loud one. Somewhere below, you hear crates of ammunition being passed hand to hand up the stairwell, counted out in whispers, because there won't be more once tonight's supply runs out. Then, near dusk, Koledov goes still in a different way. Not the waiting kind of still. The kind that means he's found something. 300 meters out, a German soldier stands in a window that should be empty. Just for a second. Koledov's breathing changes before yours does, and he doesn't fire. You ask why. He gives you one sentence you won't understand until tonight is almost over, because they wanted me to. At full dark, orders reach the cellar. Hold the elevator through the night, no matter the cost, because a relief column is pushing toward Mamayev Kurgan, the hill both armies are bleeding for, and every German gun pinned here is one less gun aimed at that column. Koledov splits the position. You take the northeast window. He takes the south. 200 meters of broken street and burnt trucks sit between you and a German line you can't see but can absolutely feel. You have no way of knowing that the rooftop across from Koledov's window already has his exact position marked. Not from tonight, but from the second he hesitated to fire at dusk. The night becomes rhythm. A flare goes up. For 4 seconds, the whole street turns white, and every shadow becomes a threat. You memorize what you can before it dies. A crate that wasn't tipped over an hour ago. A window that was empty and now isn't. Machine gunfire opens up from the south. German infantry testing the line. The elevator shakes under return fire for 20 minutes. Your eyes stay on your own sector. Koledov's rule is absolute. The second you look away from your window, someone is already moving into it. A second flare. Then a third, closer together than before. A sign command taught you to read as pressure building, not easing. Somewhere below, Soviet infantry is falling back a room at a time, trading ground for time until the relief column arrives. Then you hear it. One shot from Koledov's side, not the two-shot rhythm he taught you. Cover, then confirm. One shot, then nothing. Every instinct you have says run to him. Koledov's other rule stops you cold. Never abandon your sector to check on someone else's. That's how two positions become one, and one position falls twice as fast. You hold. It's the hardest 10 minutes of your life. A runner reaches you from the stairwell. A boy younger than you, out of breath. Koledov is hit, alive. The shot came from a rooftop no one had marked. Not a window. Something new. Records from this stretch of the siege single out nights like this, as the one surviving snipers still describe as the longest of the whole battle. Command tells you to hold and wait for relief. 40 minutes out. Fighting on the ground floor is already getting louder, closer than command thinks it is. You leave your marked window. You break the rule that kept you alive all day, because staying puts you exactly where a sniper expects a sniper to be, and Koledov already paid for that mistake once tonight. One floor down. A hole in a wall that used to be someone's kitchen. Through it, you find the rooftop. A shape against the last gray light. Still, the way Koledov taught you still has to look. You don't know if it's the man who shot him. You have one round before movement gives your position away. Right now, someone below you is climbing the stairwell toward this exact floor, and you have no way to know if it's your relief or theirs. You breathe out halfway. You hold. You remember he never fired from the same hole twice, and the shape on the roofline has held its position for over a minute now. Waiting. For you. Or for whoever comes to check on the man he already shot. You take the shot. The shape drops. 4 seconds pass before you know if you hit a man or a sandbag. In this city, they can look the same in bad light. Then return fire chews the wall 6 inches from your head. There was a second man up there. He knows exactly where you are now. You move. Not gracefully. You half fall down a stairwell, missing half its steps. Rifle first. Ears ringing from a shell that lands close enough to lift dust off every surface in the building. The stairwell narrows near the second floor, and for a moment you're pinned between the man climbing toward you and the fire chasing you from above. It's not command coming up to meet you. It's 2 soldiers you don't recognize. And for 1 full second, neither side knows which uniform the other is wearing in the dark and the dust. Someone shouts a word in Russian before anyone fires. It's enough. Barely. You reach the cellar with them at your back. By the time you're through the door, the relief team is already coming up the other way. Someone is shouting that the elevator held tonight. You find Koledov against a wall in the cellar, a field dressing tight around his shoulder. Alive, because the round that should have killed him took him a half inch off center. He looks at you the way he looked at that empty German window at dusk, like he already knows what you're about to say. You tell him anyway. The rooftop. The shot you weren't sure of. The rule you broke to take it. He doesn't tell you that you did the right thing. He tells you that you're still alive, and tonight, that's the only grade that matters. Dawn doesn't come gently. It comes the way it does over Stalingrad that autumn. Gray, choked with smoke that never fully clears, the river behind you the only quiet thing left in the whole city. The relief column reaches Mamayev Kurgan before the light is fully up. You hear it more than see it. Engines, shouted orders, the sound of a line finally being reinforced instead of bled dry. The grain elevator itself holds 4 more days before what's left of it is finally overrun. By then, both of you are already pulled back across the Volga on a boat far quieter than the one that brought you in. No barrage this time, just the sound of oars and men who don't talk much. A combined 11 confirmed kills between you, and a story neither of you tells the same way twice. Later, men who fought through the grain elevator would describe it as one of the strangest battlegrounds of the entire siege. A building neither side could fully hold, changing hands room by room for weeks, remembered less for who controlled it than for how long it simply refused to fall. Yours is one night inside that longer story, one most of the men who lived it never got the chance to tell. You made it out of that building. Thousands of the men who fought room by room through it never did, and Stalingrad never recorded most of their names. Only the fact that the line held. Would you have held your sector and trusted the rule that kept you alive all day, or broken it the moment your only shot at the man who hit Koledov was about to disappear, even not knowing if you were about to fire on the right man?